stop. Before you walk away from her, before you convince yourself she's not interested, I need you to hear something that could change everything. You've been misreading the signs this entire time, and here's what nobody will tell you. It's not your fault. You were never taught how women actually communicate attraction. Nobody sat you down and explained that her signals don't look like yours, that her yes doesn't sound like a trumpet. It sounds like a whisper you've been trained to ignore. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever left a conversation replaying every word, wondering if she was flirting or just being polite? Have you ever caught a woman looking at you, then immediately dismissed it as coincidence? Have you ever thought to yourself, late at night, scrolling through your phone, maybe I'm just not the kind of guy women notice? If that's you, take a breath, right now, because what I'm about to show you in the next few minutes might completely reframe the way you see yourself. You're not invisible. You've just been looking for the wrong proof. Stay with me, because by sign number 4, something inside most men clicks, and I don't want you to miss it. The first sign she's more interested than you think. She asks you questions that go deeper than small talk. Most guys think attraction shows up in compliments or obvious flirting, but women don't usually lead that way, especially not early on. What they do is test the depth of who you are. She asks where you grew up, what you do on weekends, what made you choose your career, what you think about something meaningful. These aren't interview questions. They're emotional investments. Here's what's happening psychologically. Women experience attraction as curiosity first, then chemistry. She's not trying to fill silence. She's trying to figure out if you're worth her emotional energy. And the fact that she's asking means you've already passed the initial filter. Research in interpersonal communication shows that question asking is one of the strongest indicators of romantic interest. We don't dig into people we don't care about. We conserve that energy. And here's the part most men miss. How you answer matters more than what you say. If you give short, closed-off responses, her interest fades. If you open up just enough, not oversharing, just being real, her curiosity deepens. Try this. Next time she asks you something personal, answer honestly, then gently turn it back to her. What about you? What made you ask that? That invitation alone shifts the energy. If she's asking, she's interested. Don't dismiss it. Now, stay with me, because sign number 3 is the one that operates completely beneath the surface, and once you understand it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. Sign 2. She mirrors your body language and rhythm. This one is subtle, powerful, and most men never touch it. You lean back, she leans back. You slow your speech, her pace follows. You cross your arms casually, a few moments later she does the same. This isn't imitation. This is nervous system synchronization. Psychologists call this mirroring, and it happens unconsciously when we feel safe and attracted to someone. Mirror neurons in the brain fire when we observe people we're emotionally connected to. It's biological rapport. Think about it. You don't mirror people who make you uncomfortable. You mirror people whose energy you want to match. It's the body's way of saying, I feel aligned with you. I once spoke with a man in his mid-50s who thought he had zero chemistry with a woman he'd been talking to at his gym. But when we broke down their interactions, the pattern was clear. Every time he gestured, she followed. Every time he paused, she softened. Her body was telling a completely different story than his doubts were. Here's a simple awareness exercise. In your next conversation with a woman, notice if she shifts her posture after you do, if she touches her face a few seconds after you touch yours, if her tone matches your calm. That's not random. That's resonance. And here's the advanced move. Subtly mirror one element of her posture after a few moments. Not obviously, just a slight alignment. Watch how quickly the connection deepens. Attraction is rarely loud. It's layered, energetic, and it's happening whether you notice it or not. Sign 3. She creates proximity without making it obvious. Women rarely chase directly, but they absolutely create opportunity. She sits near you when other seats are open. She joins a group you're already in. She shows up to places she knows you'll be. She lingers after a conversation ends instead of walking away immediately. This is called strategic positioning, and it's one of the most consistent signs of female interest. From a psychological standpoint, proximity increases familiarity and emotional bonding. Studies on the mere exposure effect show that the more time we spend in someone's physical space, the more positively we view them. She's not being passive, she's being intentional. Here's a story. I worked with a man in his early 60s who felt completely overlooked. He mentioned, almost as an aside, that a woman at his weekly book club always seemed to sit next to him. 3 weeks in a row. He thought it was coincidence. It wasn't. The moment he shifted from self-doubt to awareness, The moment he started engaging her warmly instead of assuming disinterest, everything changed. Calm acknowledgement, a smile, a real question. That's all it took. Energy pulls, awareness responds. So ask yourself, has a woman repeatedly found her way into your orbit? That's not luck. That's a signal. Sign 4. She doesn't talk about other guys around you. This one is counterintuitive, but it's rooted in deep psychology. If a woman is interested in you, she will not casually mention other men. She won't talk about dates, exes, or guys hitting on her. Why? Because she doesn't want to trigger your disinterest or make you think she's unavailable. Psychologically, this is called strategic omission. She's curating the narrative. She's protecting the possibility between you. Now, if she does bring up other men, especially in a way that feels like she's trying to make you jealous or prove her value, that's different. That's a test, or insecurity, or sometimes just conversational filler. But genuine interest? It eliminates competition from the frame. Think about your own behavior. If you're into a woman, do you tell her about all the other women interested in you? Probably not. You keep the lane clear. She does the same. Here's what to watch for. If your conversations stay focused on you two, on shared interests, on the present moment, without her constantly referencing her romantic past or other options, she's keeping the door open, wide open. And if she asks, even subtly, whether you're seeing anyone, that's not small talk. That's reconnaissance.
Sign 5. She remembers things you mention in passing. You told her 2 weeks ago that you like your coffee black. She brings it up. You mentioned your nephew's birthday. She asks how it went. You casually said you were reading a certain book. She references it later. This is not a good memory. This is active attention. Psychologically, we remember what we care about. Our brains filter thousands of inputs daily. We hold on to the details that matter emotionally. If she's storing small pieces of your world, it means you're occupying mental real estate. Research in cognitive psychology shows that emotional engagement enhances memory encoding. When we're attracted to someone, we process their words differently, deeper, with more focus. I once coached a man who thought he was just friends with a woman he'd been chatting with at his local coffee shop, but she remembered his dog's name, his favorite hiking trail, the fact that he grew up in Montana, things he'd mentioned once, weeks apart. When I pointed it out, he paused. I didn't think she was paying that much attention. She was, and so are the women in your life, if you're willing to notice. Here's a practical tip. When she recalls something small, acknowledge it warmly. I'm impressed you remembered that. It signals that you see her effort, and effort, when seen, multiplies. Now we're going somewhere most dating advice never touches. Sign number 6 is the one that operates in silence, and it's one of the most powerful indicators of attraction that exists. Stay with me. Sign 6. Her energy softens when you're near. This one is everything. Women are constantly calibrating their emotional state based on their environment. In most spaces, they're alert, guarded, scanning for safety, for judgment, for threat. It's not paranoia, it's biology. But when a woman feels genuine attraction and safety around a man, her nervous system begins to relax. Her shoulders drop, her voice lowers, her pace slows. She laughs more easily. She leans in instead of pulling back. This is called co-regulation, and it's one of the deepest signs of trust in chemistry. Neuroscience shows that when two people feel connected, their nervous systems begin to sync. Heart rates align, stress hormones drop, the body literally feels safer. If you notice that a woman becomes calmer, warmer, more open when you're around, that is attraction. Not the performative kind, the real kind. I'll tell you about a man I'll call Robert, late 50s, thoughtful, quiet. He told me he never felt like he had game, but women kept telling me, I feel so comfortable with you. He thought it was a polite way of saying he was boring. It wasn't. What he didn't realize was that his calm, unhurried presence was rare. He didn't rush conversations, he didn't try to impress, he didn't fill every silence. And in that groundedness, women felt seen instead of hunted. That is magnetic on a level most men will never understand. So here's the question. Does her energy shift when you show up? Does she exhale? Does she smile a little easier? If so, you're not in the friend zone, you're in the trust zone. And trust is where intimacy begins. Now I want to talk about why so many men miss every single one of these signs, even when they're happening right in front of them. It comes down to one thing, internal identity. If you don't believe you're attractive, your brain will filter out every piece of evidence that says otherwise. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. You see what you expect to see. You dismiss what doesn't fit the story you've been telling yourself. So she asks personal questions. You think she's just being nice. She mirrors your body language. You call it coincidence. She positions herself near you. You assume the room was crowded. She remembers details. You think she's just polite. She softens around you. You tell yourself she's like that with everyone. You reject the data because it contradicts your identity. And that's the real block. Not your looks, not your age, not your status, your self-concept. Here's the shift that changes everything. When you stop asking, does she like me, and start asking, does she align with what I actually want, your entire energy rebalances. You move from approval seeking to calm evaluation, and that shift alone makes you more attractive. Selectivity is magnetic. Standards are magnetic. Desperation dissolves when you realize you have the right to choose too. Let me paint you a picture. You walk into a room, shoulders relaxed, eyes steady, not scanning desperately, just aware. You greet someone warmly. You engage in one real conversation. You laugh naturally. You excuse yourself when it's time instead of clinging. Across the room, a woman notices. She feels the calm. She sees that you're not chasing. She senses the quiet confidence, and slowly, quietly, she positions herself closer. This is how attraction unfolds in male life. Not with fireworks, not with grand gestures. Quietly, gradually, powerfully. And you'll miss it entirely if you're still waiting for the obvious. So before we wrap, I want you to ask yourself one question. If you truly believed you were attractive, not just physically, but energetically, how would you behave differently tomorrow? Would you hold eye contact a second longer? Would you speak a little slower? Would you stop overthinking every interaction? That shift begins right now. Attraction is not something you chase. It's something you embody. And once you own that, you stop wondering where you stand. You stand firmly, and the right woman will feel it. If this conversation shifted something inside you, do me a favor, like this video. Not for the algorithm, but as a signal to yourself that you're ready to see differently. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. Every week we go deep into emotional intelligence, masculine presence, and what it actually takes to thrive in this stage of life. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of the 6 signs hit you the hardest? Was it the questions, the mirroring, the proximity, the way she softens around you? Tell me, I read every single one, because your awareness might be exactly what another man needs to read today. I'll see you in the next one.